So here's more framing for a garage door. This is done a little differently. This is sort of like a less optimal way of doing it. Might be a little bit cheaper for the builder or whoever's framing it. So in this case, this outside piece is a 2x8 and it doesn't extend all the way in to clear the foundation. So this inside pad that nails into that, in this case they used a 2x6, 2x4 is acceptable. They had to notch out the bottom of it. So now our door is not sitting behind, the block, it's sitting between the block. So a lot of times the block is really tight. So sometimes squeezing our door plus rollers, plus tracks, plus safety sensors in that space is pretty tough. So they notched around the block in this case. Again, they're still going a foot above the opening. In this case, these guys are just getting 12-inch radius tracks. This is a really high door, it's 9 foot high. But they're extending, they used a 2x6x10 to go all the way up. That's adequate on this door because we are doing torsion springs, but it's just standard 12-inch radius tracks. If there was anything else, that would need to go higher. So the problem with doing it this way, where maybe you're saving a few bucks and some effort and some energy and using outside jamb being a 2x8 or something that doesn't extend past the block, is that with this notched thing, we have a hard time fitting stuff in. We also have to put in our tracks, and we have a bracket down there that's not going to fit because the track's supposed to go something like this. So we're going to have to move that bracket up. It leaves the bottom kind of swaying in the breeze. I suppose that's not completely the end of the world, but it's definitely less than optimal. And again, if your distance from block to block is less than the door width plus 3 inches, we're going to have a really hard time fitting everything in there. We're also going to have a little bit of a hard time getting this safety sensor in here. So this safety sensor is supposed to clamp onto the track, and it's a really tight clearance in here. I'm not really sure if it's going to fit, so that's a whole other problem. But the big builders do this pretty often, this method. Ultimately, it's better if this is a wider piece of wood and this piece of wood starts from the outside and goes inside far enough to clear the foundation. And then this piece of wood is one interrupted 2x4 or 2x6 going vertical. Okay, and we have the outside jamb across the top there. We have the nailer across the top that's on the same plane as these inside pads. These pads are what we screw our tracks into. And this side is also notched out. So this is an acceptable but not optimal way of framing out an opening.